In this video, we're going to be talking about the vision. So, Rich, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. So, there's 4 parts to our vision. So the first part is that we believe God's called us to raise up 300 big people. So picking up on some of the prophetic words, if you watched the previous video, the Gideon's army of 300, we really feel that God's called us to raise up 300 big people, and that's big in terms of spiritual stature. It's not big physically. We're talking about big as in mighty men and women of God. And so we really believe that God's kind of put this on our heart. We're not getting too hung up on the numbers thing. That would kind of be a bit of an easy game to play, but we're really trying not to focus on the numbers. It's more about actually creating big people. And we don't want just big numbers for the sake of it. We're looking for people to really grow in their faith and grow in maturity and grow in God.
Another vision of the church is that we'd be a resourcing church. So we are a part of a wider group of churches called Relational Mission, or RM, and this is headed up by Mike Betts. And Revelation Church has a really strong link with RM, and we do a lot of training of that wider group as well, and just being supported in the context of Mike Betts' leadership of that. Music, we have such a talented bunch of music, and we feel that the gospel can be shared and communicated by our worship and love of Jesus through music. And we have worship leaders from Andy to Alice who have gone out and trained other worship leaders around the world and within our RM group of churches, which is fantastic. We run a food bank which is headed up by Adrian, and we have been able to feed thousands in North London just to help alleviate that immediate poverty and hunger that some of our community are facing. So that's been a blessing for us to resource our community in that way.
Yeah.
And CAP is another charity that we actively support, and we have staff members that are dedicated to working with Christians Against Poverty, which helps people get out of debt and helps people to steward their money better as well. So we're really, really supportive of that.
The third part of our vision is we also believe God's called us to plant churches across North London, postcode by postcode, which is very exciting and daunting at the same time. But we really feel that God's laid it on our heart, and we really want to press into that. So at the moment, we're calling them gospel plants. And at the moment, we have one gospel plant up in Tottenham. Shout out to Tottenham, which is going great. So the guys up there are really proactively seeking to bring the kingdom of God. That until lockdown, they've been out on the streets, kind of evangelizing. They made lots of local connections and things like that. There's a growing number of people that are joining them, which is really encouraging and exciting. And we'd love to see more of that. And so there's conversations happening around other postcodes, about what God might be doing and things like that. So it's really exciting to know that God is moving, and he's building his kingdom postcode by postcode. And that's really exciting to be a part of and to watch. But yeah.
Okay, planting into the nations.
We've also been planting into the
nations. Yeah, so we've got lots of church plants around the world, and that has just happened naturally, really, since the beginning of the church. It's so exciting, and we just want to see the gospel being preached to the ends of the earth. So we've got
right in the early days we had the Rileys, didn't we?
The Rileys in Poland. Yeah, and then Matt in Liga.
Matt in Latvia.
In Latvia, sorry.
Yes, he moved to Riga, didn't he?
Riga, yes. And what else?
Yeah, and then we had the Tarries, who are now planting in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few people that have moved to the Middle East.
Yes.
We probably won't say too much about them.
No, that's exciting. God's moving.
And then kind of more recently,
Joel,
Dan and Adam headed off to Seoul.
Yeah.
And there's a growing group of people in Seoul, which is really exciting to see.
Yeah, God is moving.
Yeah, it's such an incredibly exciting time to see God moving. I think, we really feel that kind of God's put cities cities of the world on our heart as a church, and we're really pressing into that and seeing God do that, open doors is into some of those nations is incredible, really, especially when you look at some of the backstory of how that's happened. It's just amazing. But that's very exciting, isn't it? So there we have it, the 4 elements of the vision. So to raise up 300 big people, and to be a resourcing church that resources the wider body, to plant postcode by postcode across North London, and to plant churches across the nation and cities of the world.